let's play. Oh.
Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel, and my name is Bryony, and normally I've got so many thoughts that it's really hard to even just like be able to get them down before they all just run out of my head. But I've actually been struggling with writing this week. Could be because of many reasons, but I needed a bit of an escape, so that's what this is. And you're here on a Valentine's Day date, so we're gonna go to the movies together to see some rom-coms, because this is my kind of escape. I'm very here for it, and I did get dressed up for you in my new second-hand dress. I hope you like it. I did my nails for you as well. You're so welcome. The makeup look is actually inspired again by Soro Kairina. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Beautiful work. I'm going to link her Instagram down below so you can actually go check out the work. I don't know if you know this, but we're kind of living in like a bit of a plague at the moment, and it's kind of hard to try and find love in the time of cholera. So I just wanted to have a little romantic escape with you. But the thing that was really bothering me is, why the hell does so much of the media that's actually aimed at us have so much bad messaging for us? And so I just needed to have a bit of a rant with you about that today. I will have some movie recommendations at the end for you as well, and I will also just have them listed in the description box in case you're wondering. But please do watch until the end. I'd really appreciate it. And also don't forget to subscribe, because my subscribers have been falling. I don't know if that's because you're getting sick of me or just because YouTube's doing that fun thing again where they actually just unsubscribe people. So please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment, that all helps. So we're creating this look, like I said, inspired by poor recreation, but everything I use is cruelty-free, vegan, not owned by parent companies that test on animals, and that's also in the description box for you. So let's just get on with these lessons of toxicity that we're taught. Escapism by any other form. So if you saw my festive movie ranking, which would be surprising because that was 3 months of work that barely anybody even had any interest in, so don't know if I'll be doing that again. I had a little bit of a discussion around escapism and how I think it's an important thing to do in life, especially when, you know, like if you're trying to keep up with current events, if you're trying to make sure you know about what's happening with politics, if you want to know about like the future of our very much crumbling planet around us. Now, as many have said before, probably Shan's fair as well because she says all the good things, a lot of the media that's aimed at women is kind of like devalued a bit. So for male escapism in movies, whether it's action or sci-fi or hell, even porn, it kind of gets legitimized. Not that Charlie XCX work is legitimized, but hey, I've made an entire video all around that issue in my Fatphobia video, which I will link at the end for you. But the thing is, even though this media is made for us, a lot of it actually has like really bad messaging all throughout it, even in the good movies. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because if it is for us and specifically devalued, why is it that media that is made for us has a lot of internalized misogyny in it? Why is the stuff that's made for us carrying like messages that men want us to be able to replicate? As what is it, conservative news would say, I'm just asking questions. Spoiler alerts for a lot of very famous movies, which you'll probably definitely have seen, but I'm not really going into like all of them. I'm just kind of possibly giving away little things that you can easily pick up from the trailer. But people would get very butthurt if I didn't say that there were spoilers. Lesson 1, you gotta be pretty, okay? It's a given, and it has to be conventionally attractive. Now Mina Lay, like I've said before, has done an amazing video all about like the movie montage makeover thing. Actually kind of bad, pretty toxic. It's in so many movies, even the ones which I regard as being good, and definitely in ones which I don't regard as being all that good. Working Girl, She's All That, The Sweetest Thing, Princess Diaries, Miss Congeniality, Clueless, and even The Ugly Truth, which is a movie I could make an entire video about just it. It came about in obviously the 2000s, the time where I'm forming all of the things which I should know about life. Bad. Gonna be talking about this more later, but it kind of came about in that time, you know, like where rom-coms were trying to be like date night movies that men would be comfortable with going with, so they're perfectly fine with like really bad messaging going around, calling women dogs, saying that they're fat, all sorts of stuff.
Make sure you put the hot dog in your mouth nice and slowly.
Men like watching.
penis-shaped food go into a girl's mouth.
Yeah, enough said showing you that clip, right? Yeah, enough said. Sad thing is, I own that movie. A lot of the messaging actually comes down to the fact that the girl, the main protagonist, the love interest, the real love interest, like, she's beautiful in a way that is conventional, potentially like slightly a little bit quirky, but definitely is graceful, is a bit more demure, definitely not slutty. Fashionable in the right way that appeals to the male gaze, but doesn't actually like show that she's like promiscuous at all, because that would be the absolute worst thing. It's definitely young, it's definitely a bit more inexperienced. Above all else, they have to be beautiful. Glasses be damned. Individuality is out the window. No, we want the Fox News presenter look, but with a girl next door twist. If you could just like wear a tank top, there you go, then we know that you're one of us, right? You're a cool girl now. Ultimately, it's like the person was actually beautiful all along, but has the benefit of all of the insecurities in the world, which makes them above all else moldable to whatever sort of fantasy you have. Again, why are these marketed towards us? Lesson 2. Fatphobia is very important. Please skip ahead if this topic is going to be triggering to you, because I am going to be mentioning ED and I do not want anyone to get triggered. I'm specifically putting off watching The Ugly Truth because I don't want to get triggered myself, so I fully get it. Now, Bridget Jones's Diary has this in absolute spades, and Lena Norms has made a fantastic video. I will link her channel down below, but she's talked all about that. Guess who does always get relegated to being fat, black, gay, possibly disabled, and definitely Asian, but especially so if you have like a red streak in your hair to show that you're quirky and edgy. The best friend role. Wow. But we love that for representation. Representation matters, right? But only when the best friend is completely self-sacrificing to the benefit of the protagonist, huh? Yeah, not unhealthy at all. But do these characters ever really get to be like, I don't know, the center of attention, the object of affection, the one who is going to get the man in the end? More often than not, no. If you as the protagonist has a fat friend, or what would be possibly considered homely or Hollywood fat, or whatever you want to call it, they never really are the object of affection unless it's played in a humorous way. Potentially they may actually have their own stable relationship, but then there's always like laughs about it with the fact that, oh, they don't care how people look, but they're making the best of it, hey, because they can't get anyone better than the partner they're currently with, and like kind of put that down. Most fat characters in female aimed movies are played for laughs. And yes, this does include your problematic fave that you love to watch at Christmas time and have deep nostalgia for, even though it's actually got really, really bad things in it. Yeah, I'm on about Love Actually here. You know, like the fat sister, how she gets absolutely mocked for literally no reason as like a way to compare women. And you know Martine McCutcheon, like, who plays dear old Natalie, and constantly has fat jokes made about her, and it's like, well, oh, why on earth would the Prime Minister be going after that piece of skirt? The poor Natalie, who, by the way, dealt with sexual harassment from the president and got fired instead of protected. Love that. And then also has this boss actually come after her as well, in a way where you've got this terrible power dynamic. Yeah, that's cool though, right? As well as her being mocked for her weight. The best thing about that movie is Emma Thompson, and I'm sticking with it. Now look, the Duff kind of tries to tackle this head on, and like there are movies which are kind of made now which are trying to do that, but still, even in the movies made by women, they still hold on to these toxic mentalities. And again, even in movies that I like. Because fatphobia is in the media that is aimed at us, it makes me wonder, like, why is it being aimed at us anyway, to begin with? If it's not there to critique the trope, then is it there purely to train us or to reinforce the messaging? Because the thing is, if it's for us, what does it matter? Because apparently it's not meant to be critically acclaimed anyway. It shows a moral backing by having thinness as being like this thing that wins out in the end, or it actually shows like how you should get back at people by exploiting their ED, like what happens to Regina George when she's fed Caltine bars to make her gain weight. But of course that's played for jokes. Or what happens to Kate Hudson's character in Bride Wars, because she's fed chocolate, which makes her not able to actually fit her dress anymore. Nothing quite says friendship and greatness as literally bringing up people's EDs and using it against them. Hey, that's the female empowerment that we really want from these movies. I would date me wearing this makeup. Damn. The wind would too. Don't forget, I'm reminding you that everyone was meant to be siding with Janice and Katie. Everyone was meant to be siding with them. Everyone was meant to be against Regina. Just reiterating that because, of course, femininity is bad. Bring It On has this in it with a cheerleader being told that she's fat and has to lose weight. Wish Upon a Star with the body swapping thing where the younger sister aims to sabotage the older sister by ruining her diet. Because, yay! This is a trope that is often shown instead of explicitly told, because then people would obviously be able to actually point at something and get angry at it. So it's kind of delivered through sort of more subtle measures. Like, you use Kate Winslet, for example, someone who used to actually be held up as being a fat person. Yeah, welcome to the toxicity of the past. You would use her in comparison to Cameron Diaz in The Holiday, even, to be like, oh, see, sad fat girl over here. Like, that's what I mean when it comes to even more subtle messaging. Now, Kate Winslet actually has this happen to her a lot until these days, where she's used as like an evil white woman. And of course, you've got Jan in Grease, and if it involves Rebel Wilson or Melissa McCarthy, then you're 100% just going to have it straight played for laughs. Even in a movie that I absolutely adore, Bridesmaids. Like, the fact that she's actually sexually confident is like, ah, doesn't she know? Doesn't she know she should be ashamed? Even in another one, Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, which I absolutely adore, Romy is said to be like the fat girl in high school, so she's all insecure about stuff. Honestly, the list is so long in this implied category, it would take too long for me to go through. We can't forget lesson number 3. You have to be against other girls, unless you miraculously work together, but it's only to defeat a boy. Whether you're dealing with the in-log, the other woman, the girl who's worth it, which, may I repeat, I hate. Comparing yourself to other women is an absolute prerequisite, even in these movies. Now, Pretty Woman is something which falls into basically every single one of these tropes that I'm listing. I know, I like it too, but it's very bad. Got Something Borrowed, 13 Going on 30, Working Girl, My Best Friend's Wedding, 27 Dresses, and also 500 Days of Summer kind of like epitomize the hate for women that weren't acting as women should, and saying that they don't want to be in a relationship, that they're not ready for that, and they just want to enjoy whatever time that they've got with their partner, but they don't want to be in a relationship. And I hated her. I said, I do recall this, I said that she was a cow at the time. I was like, how could she do that to him? Wow, to be that indoctrinated? She stated exactly where she stood and what she wanted, but hey, that doesn't matter. No. No. There is an awful lot about being worthy enough to be able to get the love of the main love interest. Like I said before, you've got to be virginal, young and smart, but not too smart, pretty but not too pretty, approachable, you'll go out of your way to help him and everyone else. You've got to have like particular goodness about you to be worthy of the love of a man that is basic. Like, most times we have to admit it, like, the love interests in these are pretty, like, bland. What, do they have a job? And I've got 2, so. And of course, heaven forbid, should the main character want to be with someone who's got ambition or a job or like some sort of financial security, because then you're labelled as being a gold digger, which is a terrible sin. How dare you? Marrying for money, that's only been done for centuries. How could you? Oh, and good luck if you've slept with more than like maybe one person, maybe one, because then you're deemed to be like one of the slutty ones and one of the people that must be conquested on the way to greatness, or like a regret if someone's ever with you, because nothing says Madonna whore complex quite like this, right? Which again, I've already got a whole video on. You're so welcome. It's like, I'm prepared with snacks, but in this case it's content. Now of course you do have to be like a little bit possibly geeky as well, because femininity is bad. Like, since Chanspear's done this, you can look at my Fatphobia video. Wow, that's a big duck outside. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of like epitomizes all of this toxicity into one easy to watch rom-com movie from the 2000s. Oh, Kate Hudson, how far you fell from Almost Famous. But we all love the movie. I did, because of course Kate Hudson is the in-log cool girl of back in the day, and then she just goes acting like other women in order to drive the man away and prove that it's the woman's fault. Wow, I hate it here. Oh, and of course her best friend was actually also relegated to being fat and unattractive. But hey, she became Agatha, so I'm on her side. With Agatha all along. This happens in Only You, Gone with the Wind, The House Bunny, 13 Going on 30, Definitely Maybe. So many movies is it implied, oh, and also in The Other Woman, that you're meant to be comparing yourself to other women all the time. Compare who is worthy enough to get the affection of a man who is not really doing anything. So I do fully understand why people actually had like this big old draw towards Twilight and stuff, because like for once, because that time you actually had two men, neither one was good, vying for the affection. Oh wait, no, she's an N-log too, right? Yeah, that's right, she's an N-log. Yeah. Rule number 4, you gotta face some classism if you want to get the man. So this can be very overt or it can be very sneaky. And you'll notice that classism is a topic that gets brought up a lot in my tragic icon videos, because it's something that is constantly used against people who are from a lower class background or whatever, or people that don't know how to act. But yeah, it's actually used a lot in these movies, because there's nothing quite like making a woman feel insecure to be able to make them more moldable, right? Why is this in the movies aimed at us again? I know that a lot of the time it's put in to make the character relatable and like, oh, that's just like me, I don't know why there's so many forks at a table either. But of course she could be the main love interest because like this is quirky and relatable, and they always of course like pit against like another really classy woman who knows how to act, is typically blonde, against this fish out of water thing, which, you know, just makes them that much more endearing because you have ways to teach them, to mold them, to show that you're better than them and create the person that you want them to be without any of the stigma of like having to be raised in wealth and like all of the stuff that goes along with that. Which leads me on to my next thing, the age gap issue. Lesson number 5. The age difference thing. I've got 2 words for you: Woody Allen. Now if you don't know about him, please check out this video here, which I'll also link at the end for you. Again, that one's not monetized, but it's an important sort of thing to kind of unpack. Think Manhattan, a very famous work of his where he is dating, what is it? A high school student. If you just add some incest in there, then you've got Woody Allen's real life. Makes me love Annie Hall and Midnight in Paris a little bit less, because I do really like those movies. I have to say I do like them, but I'm like, ooh. This is sadly something that is done in so many old Hollywood movies. Like there's typically a 20 to 30 year age difference. For example, you've got Charade as like a really easy to tell example. Working Girl, Harold and Maude. I know that it's on a lot of people's like top lists when it comes to rom-coms, but it's still, even if it's done the other way around, you get it, right? Okay, cool. Even if it's more innocent. It could have been about friendship instead of... Anyway, As Good as It Gets. Oh my gosh, I watched that movie and it's like, I do not care how charming of a person Jack Nicholson is. What the hell? And of course the fact that she has to train him and mold him to be a better person, because that is of course women's only job in life, is to make a man more complete. That whole classic, oh, just needs a woman's touch. There's a reason why married women die younger, isn't there? Because they're so busy trying to fix the man-child that was allowed to be unleashed into the world, apparently, according to all these rom-coms. Because of course the younger woman like gives him more vivacity at life, it's his inspiration, he gets his mojo back. It's always replacing what would be considered to be like a bitter old woman. I side more and more with, as I've like really critically assessed these movies, because I'm like, oh yeah, I fully get why you would just be like, what the hell, instead of the fact that we are trained to attack the woman when it's actually his fault. He's the one that dallied, he's the one that did all that terrible stuff, but no, it's apparently a competition between the women still. No. So yes, I do get the bitterness of older women being really angered by the fact that the man tends to get rewarded with a younger model. Lesson number 6. Relationships with power dynamics are of course very good. Very, very good, not bad at all things. And yes, I know this actually includes one of the sweetest ones. I love Never Been Kissed too, but a teacher-student relationship Just like a boss to employee relationship isn't one to be heralded either. 2 weeks notice and many other movies. Nor a professor, nor taking advantage of someone with amnesia. Overboard and 50 First Dates, I'm looking at both of you. But yeah, we're going to talk more about this in the Dawson's Creek video, which should only be a few weeks away because I'm nearly done with the final season. So get watching, catch up if you haven't been already. Lesson number 7, changes. If you love someone, you'll change to be who they want, right? Bugger off, Grease. Oh my god. And also Chasing Amy, can we just talk about this weird phenomenon that kind of happened with people being obsessed with turning someone that's gay straight? Can we just have a moment to recognize the fact a whole movie existed around this? Lesson number 8, childhood sweethearts are your only sweethearts and you should never ever grow up and evolve. Just revert, infantilize. So the thing is that I used to absolutely love this trope, and I do guess that they did switch it on their head, Sweet Home Alabama, because technically Melanie and Jake do actually grow in their own ways as they separated and oh my gosh lived a life, and then they learned a whole bunch of lessons along the way, and they still need to recognize a whole bunch of things about themselves, blah 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 blah. And also McDreamer's character was actually meant to be a cheater originally, so it wasn't going to be as hard a choice anyway. Again, classism gets brought up in that movie too. But 13 Going on 30, the movie that like a lot of people love, where Jennifer Garner's character actually does grow up and she obviously reverts back to being 13 in her mind, but it's a bit like the whole Big scenario, which is problematic as well, that movie. But the thing is that who she grew up to be was a mean girl, so it was okay that she completely regressed to her 13-year-old self, right, and forgot all of the life lessons that potentially made her to be a mean girl. But you know, it's okay because she won the affections of Mark Ruffalo in the end, right? Someone who had remained very much the same since childhood. Cool. We love to reward staleness and stagnation. It's a cute movie, don't get me wrong, I'm just mad at that trope. The reason I'm so mad at the trope is it comes back to infantilizing women time and again. The thing is that the whole friends to lovers thing, it doesn't normally work. Even Nora Ephron said it herself. Rest in peace. Because the thing is that you're not going to be getting your When Harry Met Sally moment with the wonderful epiphany as it's New Year's Eve and then they're going running up to you saying that they can't imagine their life without you. That's not going to happen. If you've changed from friends to lovers, then good on you, honestly. Like, it's one of the rarities where that will actually work. So anyway, I just wanted to point out like how many of like the movies which are aimed at us have got like so much toxic messaging in them for us to endure. And I hope that you can see this top. I'm going to have to sit back so you can actually see the top because otherwise YouTube's going to be like, ooh. Now, I definitely know that there are some which have really tried to fight against this, which is fantastic. We love to see it. Fabulous, wonderful. But it's prevalent enough for it to actually be quite a glaring issue as someone who, like I said, loves to escape to a world of romance, a world of movies, because my life is definitely not that. Normally it's cleaning up cat vomit. Now, if you have your own recommendations, please feel free to comment them down below because I would love to have like a more expansive view, because I've just got a little list for you, but it's kind of like categorized depending on like what kind of mood you're in, because this is Valentine's Day. Everyone likes to vibe with Valentines in a different way, and I'm all here for it, and there is going to be another video next week. Try to make sure that the movies I've selected are not very triggering, but I will just have like little disclaimers of like things to note just in case these particular topics can be triggering to you. And of course most of them are about weight, because hey, that's great, we love that in our movies. The first category is female empowerment and sisterhood. So Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, the weight thing again is still an issue here, but this movie is high-key hilarious and so quotable, puts you in an instant good mood. Legally Blonde, still counting as a rom-com, still saying it's one of my top 10 movies that's ever been made. I love it so much. Bring It On, again, the weight thing. Clueless, just try not to think about the half-brother, half-sister thing. 10 Things I Hate About You, who doesn't love a good retelling of The Taming of the Shrew? I'm telling you, honestly, so good. Bridesmaids, it's more sad than what you think, and again, it does definitely have like the fat jokes. They're funny because they're a fat person. Wow. It's still got some of that. It's more sad than what you think. It makes me cry each time I watch it. Now we're going on to a classic. If you're just after a classic little romantic kind of movie, and a fair to remember, Diane Kerr and Cary Grant. I don't really need to tell you more other than the fact that every time I watch this movie, I weep. It's a little slow, it's from the 50s, but it's, oh, I love it so much. It Happened One Night, one of the first in this sort of genre. So good. It's got Clark Gable in it. You're gonna love it if you love vintage cinema. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Technically this is a musical, but if you're not in the vibe for a musical, then I do recommend How to Marry a Millionaire. Both of these, right old laugh, very classic. Very, very classic humour. Pride and Prejudice. I'm partial to the 2005 version because that's the first one that I saw, but you can watch the very, very lengthy version. It depends on what hunk you're after, basically. I think that both are good. Roman Holiday. Why yes, I did actually base a lot of our trip to Rome on this movie and make sure that we hit the spots, but I didn't go to the one where you put your hand in and it goes, we didn't go there because I was scared. Down with Love. Now I'm putting this in the classic version because this is like a 1960s movie elevated, and it's camp and it's glorious. You'll be put in such a good mood after it. Like, it is so fun. So very fun.
Moonstruck.
I adore this movie. I mean, you've got Cher and you've got Nicolas Cage where he's actually trying. This movie is amazing. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's everything you want. Shakespeare in Love. Now if you also watch Be Kind Rewind, you'll know the whole backstory to this because it did obviously win the Oscar because of Harvey Weinstein, and I'm sorry, I still love the movie, okay? It's very eloquent, the costumes, everything is so lovely, and I think the chemistry is great. So yeah, it's just good. If you want something that feels just nice and cozy, like a good cup of tea, Always Be My Maybe. I adore this movie. It's easily accessible on Netflix. Ever After, there is a little bit of weight stuff in here, but I think this is one of the best retellings of a Cinderella story you'll ever get. If you don't want to watch like one of the more aimed at kids versions, in which case watch Brand Is. When Harry Met Sally, it's always in my top 10. I love When Harry Met Sally so much. It's like my dark side and my light side collide. That's what that movie is. Must Love Dogs. I'm a sucker for movies like this. It's very, very sweet. Sleepless in Seattle. Yes. Love. Nora Ephron, fantastic. While You Were Sleeping, technically kind of a Christmas movie, and I've already talked about it in my rankings video. Still love it. You've got the classic Notting Hill, very sweet. Under the Tuscan Sun. Now, white woman goes to find herself by going to an exotic country and buying up their land and stuff. It's a very grating trope, I do admit, but I think that Diane Lane actually does a good job of it, and I think the storytelling of this is not actually done in a way to exploit like what Eat, Pray, Love is, but this is actually like a definite appreciation thing. Eat, Pray, Love I hate. I still haven't been able to finish it, and I'm trying to because it's one of the 2000s movies I really should watch, but Music and Lyrics is a 2000s movie that actually holds up pretty well. It's got some problematic things in it, yes. I think that this is really cute. It's a very, very cute movie if you're after something that's just like, oh yes, and the songs are actually really good. And then pop goes my heart. Definitely Maybe. 3 incredibly beautiful women, 1 beautiful man. Everyone is witty. You know it, you love it. It's good. Jerry Maguire. I'm a sucker for a good Cameron Crowe film of someone with gumption trying to do the right thing. I love it, and it's so quotable. So quotable. Say Anything. This one's like a bit slower, very kind of like teenage angsty. Again, it's a Cameron Crowe film. I'm sorry, I love his work. The Wedding Planner. I may just be adding this one for me, but I really like it, even though it does have like the women competing thing, so that's just a bit of an issue. The Wedding Singer. What happened to Adam Sandler? What happened? Honestly. Monster-in-Law. This is more funny, definitely, and it's got some of that classism, some of the sprinkles of Fatphobia in there, but it's got Jane Fonda and J-Lo, and they are so good, like playing off each other. I love this movie. If you want something a little bit more quirky, Amelie. Could I say anything else? Do you want a musical to watch? Moulin Rouge. It's on Netflix right now. You're so welcome. Did I kind of base my ball dress and makeup on this? Yes, I did. When I was in high school. Yes, I did. Proudly. Oh, do you want some sadness? Is that your vibe? Okay. Steel Magnolias. Have fun with it. You will cry buckets. I do. P.S. I Love You. I've only been able to watch this movie once with my best friend in high school. Buckets. Just crying buckets. Oh my gosh. Whew. But yeah, it's sweet. And you get to go to Scotland, I think it is. Or is it Ireland? It's Scotland or Ireland. 500 Days of Summer. Some people may not think of this as like a tearjerker. Some people may put this in a bit more of a quirky camp. But it makes me cry. It gets me in the feels. So yeah, but you do have to read it differently to what you may have done if you've only watched it once in the 2000s. Singles is just 90s melancholy. Perfect. And it makes my heart sad. Is that another Cameron? It's probably another Cameron Crowe, I'm sorry. You've got The Big Sick, which is available on Netflix right now. Fantastic movie. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, one of my favourite movies ever. I'm like this. And then you've also got Before Sunrise and Before Midnight, because they're a pairing. So again, hopefully you found something from that list to kind of like match your vibe, match your mood, whether you want giggle or not. But anyway, I really appreciate you joining me for this little movie date that we've been on today. It's been a lot of fun. It's too hot. I need to get the hell out of this dress. Do not take this, come on please, my goodness, inappropriate, I'm a married woman. And also, if you've got a makeup brand that you want me to talk about, please do let me know, because do you still want those? If you don't, then let me know. But I'm always keen to like dig up dirt on a company, always keen for it. And I'll see you again next week for another Valentine's video, and then I think I'll be doing my Pamela Anderson video, so I'll see you for that. I hope you love this. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day, whatever it is you may be doing. Either way, I hope you got a good movie to watch, and I hope that this has allowed you to like have a vent along with me. And I'll see you again on Sunday for a review, and on next Tuesday for that next deep dive. Bye!